Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Aheme and I am a psychotherapist living and practicing in Lagos, Nigeria at my own private practice called Nengi. How are you doing? So if you're just joining me for the first time, I talk about anxiety, grief, depression, existential crisis, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Now I have a bunch of videos about depression and anxiety and grief. So in the next coming videos, I will be doing more about PTSD and existential crisis. But if you're interested in any of the topics I just mentioned, don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button down below and clicking the notification bell so you know when I release a new video. So on today's video, I will be sharing with you some tips on how to cope with grief. Over the past year and the past few months in the new year, people have been losing loved ones. Even worse, after this second wave of COVID-19, they're losing their loved ones to issues and health issues, complications from COVID, or even just general life stress. So to help you cope in a very healthy fashion with the grief that you're experiencing, I've decided to put this video together so I can share with you these tips that I have and so you can use them. So as you are grieving, when you get to, the end of your grief or a more comfortable space with it, that you're feeling healthy emotionally and mentally, and that you don't engage in self-destructive behaviors that would only make the process of healing worse for you. So I have done other videos that talk about what grief is and what the different types of grief are. So if you are curious about what is grief and what are the different types of grief a person can experience, because we all grieve differently and grief manifests differently in all of us, you can check a description box down below. I would definitely leave a link to it so you can watch it and educate yourself more. But in this video, I'm going to be focusing more on what are some helpful tips that you can use to cope when you're grieving. Okay, so what is grief? Grief is a natural response to any kind of loss. And the loss could be the divorce, a relationship breakup, the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, financial stability, your pet dying, your dream that you've had since you were a childhood ending. It could be anything at all, but as long as that is accompanied by experience of loss, you're most likely to feel a sense of grief. Like when COVID-19 started and a lot of us had to go on the lockdown, because our lifestyle and what we're used to, our routine, no longer was, we couldn't follow that routine anymore, we started to feel a sense of loss. So a lot of us felt that grief when we had to go on lockdown for COVID-19. So grief can be caused by a sense of loss, and it's a natural response to that loss. And you can have feelings of anger, feelings of shock, profound sadness, and even sense of guilt, and sometimes even shame as well. So grief can bring up so many different emotions that knowing how to handle them well and in a healthy fashion is incredibly beneficial, not just to you, but also the people around you in your daily life. Now, what are some healthy ways to cope with grief? Number one, face your feelings. A lot of times when we're grieving, some of us think that the best way to cope with grief is to avoid these emotions or ignore them or just even pretend like they don't exist. That is only going to make it worse and make the process of healing even more stressful for you. So whatever feelings have come up, sadness, pain, misery, anger, admit to it, accept it, share it with your loved ones that this is how I'm feeling as a result of the grief I'm experiencing, and allow yourself to face the feeling. The second tip to cope with grief in a healthy fashion is to not force yourself to be strong. A lot of times we tend to want to fit ourselves into the role of being the responsible one, the one that takes care of everyone, the one that organizes everything, and we feel like we're not allowed to cry. People shouldn't see us being a mess. People shouldn't see us looking the way we do. You have every right to feel the way you feel. So don't force yourself to always be the strong one, the responsible one. Allow yourself to feel the feelings you're feeling and to also allow other people to carry you as well. A third thing is to cry. Let out all the feelings, fall to your knees, let your heart break, accept the reality that you are helpless and maybe even a little hopeless in this situation, because whatever it is you've lost, you can't bring it back. So allow those feelings to flow in tears. If you feel like crying, allow yourself to cry. The fourth thing is don't cry if you don't want to cry. People grieve differently. Some people may be wailing and rolling on the floor and being dramatic about their grief, and some people may decide that, you know what, I just want to lock up, I don't feel like crying, but I still feel the pain on the inside. But it's good for you to check with yourself to be sure that the reason why I'm not crying, is it because I'm suppressing my grief, or is it because I actually just don't feel like crying? And if you realize that it's because you don't feel like crying, please, you don't have to cry. So don't pressure yourself to perform your grief so that other people can feel comfortable with it. The fifth thing is to stop thinking about a timeline. Don't set a timeline for yourself that says, I need to be over this in 6 months or 3 months or 2 weeks or 1 year. The moment you do that, that is all you're going to focus on, meeting that timeline. And that would make the process of healing even more stressful because you're trying to crunch all your emotions and make sure that all of it fits into that period of a timeline that you've given yourself. Just allow yourself to be. Trust me, the time when this grief gets easier for you to carry, you may not even be aware of it. You just wake up one morning and just like, oh, this thing this person was talking about does not cause me to feel as much sadness and sorrow. It does get easier for you to carry as you move along. So allow yourself. Number 6, lean on your friends and your family members. Allow them to support you. And number 7, which follows number 6, is accept that as they are supporting you, there will be awkward situations where they wouldn't say the right thing you want to hear, or sometimes they're going to say things that make it sound as if they're making it about themselves. This doesn't mean that your family members or your friends or whoever it is that's supporting you does not care about you. It can be confusing taking care of a person who is grieving because you're going through many different waves of emotions. You're going from angry to sad to helpless to hopeless, and to keep up with it, your family members may just be throwing darts out there like, oh, let me say this, let me try this, try to support them. So cut the people who are supporting you some slack whenever they don't support you the way you want to be supported. And if you can, do also communicate to them how you want them to help you so that they're not just, grabbing at anything that they can to be able to help you feel better. Of course, the one thing you want is for whatever it is that you've lost to come back, but nobody can bring that back for you. The best that they can do is to be there for you. And the fact that they're there is already a sign that they care and they want to support you. So allow them and then cut them some slack. Number 8, start therapy or join a support group. At Ndidi, we have a community of support group we call Obodo. And what Obodo is that we offer free support group services to everybody. And you can join us virtually. And we have a support group that's specifically for grief. So you can join this support group for free. We have meetings once a month. And you can also consider starting therapy. Grief counseling can really help you as you go through the process of grief, so that whatever negative feelings or even negative habits that you may be indulging in, your therapist or your counselor can call you back to order and help you with some very helpful tips that are more tailored to who you are as a person as you learn to cope with your grief. Number 9, don't let other people tell you how to feel, and don't tell yourself how you should feel. People may come and tell you that you shouldn't be crying this much, you shouldn't be feeling this bad, or it's okay now, stop crying, you've been crying too much, are you going to cry yourself with tears? Don't let other people tell you how to feel about the thing that you're grieving. Feel how you want to feel. It mattered to you, and because of that, you're expressing all these feelings and manifesting these behaviors. So allow those feelings to flow. And as much as you're going to tell other people not to tell you those negative things or things that help derail you off of your path of healing from grief, don't also tell yourself the same thing. Don't tell yourself that, oh, I shouldn't be grieving this much, it wasn't that big a deal. Don't dismiss your own feelings of grief. Number 10, plan for those grief triggers. There will be birthdays, anniversaries, celebrations, moments, places, smells, people that would remind you of these things that you've lost. When you know that you are about to encounter those moments or meet those people or find yourself in that space, do well to prepare for it. And a good way to prepare is to tell your friends that you're going to be needing a little bit of extra support and help and love and care, or even just booking a therapy session to help yourself with it. Okay, number 11, find comfort in your faith. This is a good time to rely on your spiritual beliefs to help you answer some of the existential questions that come across as a result of losing something or someone. People tend to ask themselves, does God really care about me? Has God forsaken me? What happens when people die? What goes on in the afterlife? What is the meaning and the purpose of life if things just change abruptly as they do? Your faith and your religious belief can give some answers into those questions that you have, and also even reassure you that you are going to get better and time will heal the wound of grief. So if you have a religious practice or religious belief, now is a good time for you to lean into it a bit more, for that support, for that reassurance, and also for some answers to your existential questions. And the final tip I have for you is to take really good care of yourself. It's very difficult at a time when you're grieving to think about what you're going to eat, where you're going to go, what you're going to wear, but it's important that you do well in those areas, especially when it comes to the nutrition, because your body needs the energy and all the vitamins and every other thing that you benefit from food so that it can be able to help you through this process. It isn't just your mind that is hurt from the grief, it's also your physical body. So taking time out to exercise, and exercise such as yoga and just going for short walks, or even long walks in your neighborhood or your estate, can be very helpful during this time. So exercising and eating healthy are really good tips for you to help yourself during a time for grief. So these are the helpful tips that I have for you. I hope that you find them useful. Please don't forget to share them with your friend, your family, your loved one, or even a stranger that you meet anywhere, because you never know what people may be going through, and the fact that they don't have access to proper health care information can be making their life worse. So if you're in a bus or in a station or anywhere in your office and you find that somebody is grieving and they're not engaging in healthy behaviors, just send them a link to this video. It's free. The only thing they have to pay for is their data to watch it. But this, 10 to 15 minutes video, I don't know how long it is going to be when we edit it, but this video can be very helpful to someone. So share it with them, and don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you know when we release a new video, and to follow us on Instagram as well and on Facebook as well. We're going to leave the link to all of our social pages below, where we also share many more tips, especially our How to Tuesday series, which talks about how to do certain things that have to do with mental and emotional well-being, and then also our Q&A Fridays, where we share answers to questions that people send to us during the week. It's a lovely time here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.